Ah, well, the first thing that I want to do is share with you a little brief meditation. So if you would please just get centered and relax in the way that you know best, taking a few natural and normal breaths. You can close your eyes or focus on something pleasant. Lower your shoulders away from your ears. And just be present in this now moment. And we do that by focusing on our breath, breathing in. God is. Exhaling out. I am. Again, breathing in. God is. Exhaling out. I am. We'll do that once more. Take a big, deep, full breath, breathing in. God is. And exhaling out. I am. In this now moment, we know that we are safe in the presence of the I am. And we are filled with joy as we come together in this space of collective hearts and minds to learn more about that which is. And we call that which is God, but also we know God is known by many, many names. We ask that in this space, we learn and grow so that we can be the best we can be. And then we can share with others. We recognize that and we pause just for a brief moment in this realization and this knowing space. As we are present in this space, we are coming to learn more about ourselves as we know that God never changes and that we have an opportunity for growth. And for this, we are grateful. And so it is. When you are ready, open your eyes. I'd like for us to do like a round robin of introductions. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I think all of you know. I'm Gretchen, affectionately known by Gigi, and I have, well, first of all, I work as a master trainer for an international hair care company, and I travel around the world teaching. I love to do that. I love to see people get that aha light bulb moment. And I've been a member of Center of Unity since 2001 and volunteered in various positions. But more importantly, I've been a seeker of truth for as long as I can. And when I learned about unity, something really clicked for me, a light bulb moment. Is what I experienced. And it was so revealing and so pure and so filled with truth that I just wanted to share it with people. And over a period of years, I started taking some classes, and now I have that opportunity to do that. So that's enough about me. I want to see who else is here. Let's see, let's start with our participants list over here. So Debbie, you're first.
Okay. I'm Debbie Holt, and I've been going to Unity since 2003. And it was the first time that I'd heard of it, and I found it through Reverend Carol. But when I read about it on the internet, on the website, I just knew that this sounded very reasonable to me, very, I don't know, different, and really something that I could agree with. And I've just loved it ever since. And so that's where I am. And I'm very happy here. And I have also volunteered on several things. So I'll sing in the choir, and ready to whenever we can safely get back all together.
Oh, I know it. Debbie, what do you hope to get from the class?
Well, I hope to get maybe a way to some clearer words to speak to others if anyone is questioning or seeking something different. Maybe I'll have something in my vocabulary to talk to them about.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing, Debbie. And let's see who's up next. Mark and Don. Now, Mark and Don, we know you have to leave early. You have to leave at 7:30, so we honor that. So share a little bit about yourselves and what do you hope to receive?
Okay. Well, thank you for teaching the class, Gigi.
Yeah.
And I have been part of Unity since about 2005, 2006, and came from a traditional background. When I found Unity, I was really excited about it, and something really opened up for me. And with this class, I'm just really excited to learn whatever you have to teach, Gigi. Just whatever it is, I know it's going to be good.
Well, thank you so much, Don. Thank you. All right, Mark.
And I discovered Unity right after Dawn did, and she told me about it, and I was just drawn to it immediately. I love the positivity and the lightness about it. So different than the traditional background I'd come from. And I love it. I love the teachings. As I've been at Center of Unity and served in a variety of capacities, I've just grown really to love everyone there, everyone. I just really, these are my people. I just think so much of everyone there and
yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right, moving right along. No one has anything else they want to add? Well, let me bring up my keynote here. And I would like to send you all the syllabus for this class, so make certain that I get your email. Would you do that? My email, by the way, if you can get pen and paper, that would be great, because at some point during this evening, we'll journal a little bit. So pen and paper is necessary.
What's your email?
GretchelJohnson@AOL.com.
Thank you.
All right, my little mouse is, I can't find it. Where did it go? Here it is, my little arrow. Where is it? Don't you love technology?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't find my arrow. Mark and Don, you're muted.
Yeah,
There you
I was
go.
going to say, this never happens with Geo's classes.
GR, are you still here? He's gone. Okay, I have got.
I'm still here.
Oh, did you hear that?
I did hear that. I most certainly did hear that.
Well, you know what?
I know what that happens with Geo's classes often.
Why can't I find my little arrow? I don't know.
That was Mark Morris, Morris.
Taking that down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Ponder This is the name of this course. As you know, it's 5 classes. This is the first of 5, and it's based on the book Alternatives by William Fischer. He had an awakening of sorts, and he realized, as many of us do, that he did ponder some of his beliefs, and they changed. I love this quote by Ellen Davenport. She did the same thing. She pondered her beliefs. She says, atheists and agnostics just don't relate to the God of their childhood anymore. And of course they wouldn't, because the God you understood at 6 won't work for you at 16, much less at 60. It's not that God changes, God known by many names. It is that we change, grow, and evolve. So let's just see how we feel. You know, I want you to take a look in your room and notice where your door to that room is. And look at the furthest wall in a straight line from that entrance to the door. So from the door to the back of that room. And I want you to visualize a space within that distance of 1 to 10. And I'm going to ask that at some point you will stand at the 1 or any place in between the 1 and the 10 as to your present belief about what God is. Not just yet, but I just kind of wanted to get that perking in your minds. Could I get someone to read this, please?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Most of us, from our earliest learning experiences, have been taught that God is a supreme man. We have been told that God created man in his own image, and we have not realized that this image is male and female. Not fully understanding our own origin, we have easily decided to create God in man's image.
Yes. What do you say? What do you think about that?
Well, I think because it says God created man in his own image, it says his is male, and if we're supposed to, made in his image, then he must look like us. I think that's the
Like an anthropomorphic God, like a man, human God, right? Yes. Say more about that, Debbie, if you will.
Well, I think it, especially I think we've never understood traditionally that the image is male and female, even though, I'm a woman, but I never thought of God, as a female, never thought of the female part of God until, recently.
Yes.
So
And
that's something new.
that makes sense then, right? If you say that, if we say God, and it's in our Bible, that God made us in its image, then it's not just the male part of the population on earth, right?
Right.
Makes sense to me. Anybody else want to comment on that? Could I get someone else to read that, please? What is wrong?
I'll read it.
Thank you, Mary.
Consequently, we have made of God a superman. Inasmuch as God has been around since the beginning of time, he would naturally have to be a very old man. So we have given him a flowing beard. Since the Judeo-Christian concept of God came out of patriarchal, male-dominated society, we have learned to always refer to God with male pronouns. He, him, his.
What about how we speak of God in unity? What do we use instead of those pronouns?
We use he a lot.
Do we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
We also use Father, Mother, God.
We use Father, Mother, God.
Yeah.
But often when we're talking about God in just about any setting, he is the go-to from what I've observed. What should we use?
It's kind of ingrained in us from
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Barbara, you have your hand up.
Well, I was just going to say that I always referred to God since I started the New Thought and getting into Unity and doing all this extra reading. I liked the word source. And now that I know that it's energy rather than like a person that looks like Neptune in the sea or something.
What are some other names? And Reverend Gio has his hand raised. Hold on.
I do.
Yes, Reverend Gio, you want to add to that?
One of the fun things that I've had as a Unity minister is to try to talk about or discuss God without using any pronouns at all.
Yes.
It's an exciting and interesting challenge. And I sometimes catch myself calling God it.
Yes. Yes. And when you do call God it, how does that feel? And where did that come from?
It feels a lot closer than claiming it as a he or a she.
Okay, and Maddie,
Because it's a field of possibility, or it's a potential, or it's what we teach is that it's a principle.
yes, it's a principle, and it is a challenge to speak about God without using a pronoun. Maddie, you had your hand
Yeah,
up.
I'd just like to say that
There.
I think that people who claim to be atheists reject this very definition of God.
Yes,
They can't accept that God is a man with a flowing beard on a throne somewhere, so they say there is no God. I think a lot of atheists have this idea and they can't accept it. That's all.
okay, thank you, Maddie. And Mary, you have your hand raised.
Well, I have two things. Well, another, what I often call God is spirit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, just, spirit or divine spirit or sweet spirit.
Yes,
And then talking about atheists, and I believe probably Maddie is correct up to a point. And of course, there's always the exception.
Well, not
And-
everybody. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And some atheists that I happen to know and love just have never had God, and they've never had any view of God. They haven't had the flowing beard God, or the wonderful peaceful God, or the mean Old Testament God. They've just they've just not had God, and they don't have God. They don't have spirits. They don't have any of that.
and many have been turned off by just the name God for many, many reasons, particularly people coming from the Catholic tradition. They come into unity and they're bruised by using the name God for various reasons. Mark and Don.
Yes, I like to refer to God as the presence of God, just, being in the presence, and then also to refer to this presence as divine love.
Yes, love. I find myself like Gio trying to not use a pronoun because it, like he, him, or his, but it, because it is unnameable for a traditional pronoun. But I also like what you said just now, Don. Divine love is a beautiful name for that which we know to be pure divine love. And there are tons of other names. We have principle, we have spirit, we have Yahweh, Elohim. What are some other names?
I call it creative intelligence of the universe.
Creative intelligence of the universe. I love that. Yes. Okay. Well, let's move on. Mark, your hand is up? No. Okay. All right. Uh-oh. Oh, dear.
Click on the keynote and then it will move forward.
Say that again.
Just click on the keynote and then it will move forward. There you go.
Oh, you're a genius. I still can't find my
Done this
arrow.
before.
I was gonna say, he's done it a time or two.
Done exactly what you just did.
Okay. Uh-oh. All right.
We done.
I'm not going to touch it. All right. Someone else, please read this one.
Our teaching further told us that the abode of God is the kingdom of heaven. When we speak of heaven, we think of it as being up. Therefore, we have assumed that heaven is in the sky, that perhaps God dwells somewhere on the periphery of our universe.
Oh, wow. Who wants to look at that and speak on it?
Well, I mean, that's just, if you think of God as a being, you've got to put him somewhere.
He's got to,
So
he's got
heaven,
to have a house.
heaven up there is as good a place as any, right?
And it's just out of what we've been taught to refer to God up in the heavens, and the heavens have always been above us. But there is something to be said about looking upwards. It's kind of like elevating the Christ in us, looking upwards towards light, not necessarily to heaven as a city with gold streets. Maddie, please say
Well,
something.
I just wanted to say, in my 3rd grade catechism class, they have a little reader in it, and one of the questions was, where is God? And the answer was, God is everywhere. Now you try explaining that to a 3rd grader, what does it mean? But that was the answer, God is everywhere. And I can understand it now, which I didn't then.
Yes,
Because it's true, God is all, we live in God.
God is everywhere, in everything, in the rocks, in the rivers, in the trees.
Yeah.
What were we saying? Our teaching, who read this one?
Mark, wasn't it?
Mark.
Yeah, I think I was just telling you that in catechism, they said God is everywhere.
Yeah.
That was when we got cut off.
Okay. Anything more you want to share about that?
Well, I think, oh, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, you guys are so precious. Don't worry about raising the hand. I like it when you just chime in.
Good, because that was confusing to me.
I just wanted to affirm what you were saying, Gigi, about I think part of the reason we look up is it's just the natural thing. It's just, it's not necessarily because we think God is up there. It's just, it's an openness sort of, whereas looking down or not looking anywhere seems more meaningless.
Maybe we're lifting ourselves up.
Yeah, I think there are certain things that we do that are just natural to us. Like with when we have a pain, our first thing is to grab it.
Yeah.
I believe that's a healing thing, that we have that healing power, and that innately that's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So I kind of think the same thing with looking up and, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
I think
Did you have your hand up?
So I just wanted to say that medical, physical, biological experiments indicate that where in the brain we experience a numinous experience, a religious experience, if you will, is in the pineal gland. And when we raise our eyes up, we're actually looking at the pineal gland.
Mm.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's good science. Thanks for sharing that. You know, I love to twine the spiritual with the scientific. And if you can find that wherever you read it, Gio, send it to me.
Okay, I will.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next one. What have we done?
Use your arrows instead if you can't find your cursor.
Oh, I can't do the arrows. Oh, yes, I can.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so who would like to read this one? Short and sweet.
I will. All in all, we have made God most inaccessible. We have made him into an anthropomorphic man with human attitudes and emotions.
Yes, we have done that. We have done that.
Well, it's easier to think of a being as looking like us than it is to think of nothingness. But
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's hard to think of God as not having a body for me.
Especially when we know that in the perfect image of God, then we think of we know that we're human.
Yeah.
We have emotions and feelings, and
We get it backwards. We get it backwards.
we have done that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I didn't make him inaccessible.
You didn't, Barbara? Nope.
Good for you.
What about this one? Who would like to read that?
When Jesus Christ spoke of God, he did not speak of a distant God. He said, "The Father is in me."
And read this one as well.
God is imbued in all creation. The presence of God is not limited to people, but the presence of God finds a rare and refined expression through people.
Now, how powerful. Did we not just say this?
Did I say that word right? What's imbued? Imbued?
Imbued.
It's like put in. It's imbued. It's put into you. Into whatever.
Yes.
In
Inside.
all creation, yeah. Yeah, that's unity.
Imbued in all creation. And we just said that. So, we have this wisdom inside of us. And when we read things and hear things and see things that resonate deeply with us, it is that knowing that is already inside of us saying, yes, wake up. The presence of God is not limited to people, but the presence of God finds air and refined expression through. Okay, so here's the first alternative. Who would like to read this one?
I'll read it.
Okay, Debbie.
Instead of a distant, inaccessible, hard to please God, the God really represented by Jesus Christ is a God of healing and prosperity, an accommodating God, a God for whom no task is either too large or too small, a God who is nearer than speaking, closer than breathing. This God is not a temperamental man, but an indwelling spirit, ever eager
to find expression through creation and through you.
Someone else is reading as well. Okay. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So God is not a temperamental old man that punishes us, but an indwelling spirit and eager to find expression through creation, through each and every one of us. What a relief. How we can easily come to know that. And in moments of distress, remember that. Maddie, did you have something?
Yeah. According to what the one before this, someone beating a dog. To the definition, it's like that God's spirit.
Okay, hold on. Somebody needs to mute themselves, and I would, but I can't find.
Okay. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the God spirit is not just in people, but it's in the earth, in the rocks, in the plants, in the animals. God is within each and every living thing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you never think of the dog having God within it, really. I mean, I don't think of it. I mean, I know that they're loved, but I don't think of them having God within them.
Have you ever thought of God hard to please?
Have I what?
Have you ever thought of God hard to please?
Hard to please?
Hard
to please.
Hard to please.
I never gave that a thought. I don't even know what that means.
Well,
not the alternative God, no.
No,
I mean,
not the alternative
yeah.
God, instead of a distant, inaccessible.
I think when I was 3.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. When I was a kid, I used to think that I had to be careful what I did because if I made a sin, that would displease God.
Yeah.
As a child, the sin.
You were taught, were you not taught that?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
not in those words, but like it was a sin if you didn't go to church, and that was God. I thought it was a little harsh of him to require that.
Were you Catholic?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Before we go to Jesus,
It
I
looks
want-
like Reverend Gio has his hand up.
oh, good. I can't see and I can't move this thing around. So Gio, please speak up.
I clicked that by accident. I was
Oh.
I was sending you a message.
Oh, I can't see it.
Oh well.
Did you text it to me?
I did not text it to you, but I can.
Would you text it to me?
I will.
I won't be able to access my arrow where I can really point it where I want it to go until I finish these slides. For some odd reason, don't ask why. Okay, excuse me. All right, so right now in the class, I'd like to ask, I have it set up to take a 5-minute break, to get some water, to go to the restroom. Do you feel a need to do that? Shall we keep moving?
I'm okay.
You're good?
Me too.
Okay.
I'm okay.
All right, let's keep it moving. And Gio, now I can see your hand is up again.
Whose hand?
All right, here we go. All right, now someone please read Jesus. Now do we have a clear understanding? All of us unity people, we know this, but it helps to be reminded that God is not some bearded man up in the sky. All right, moving on. Someone please read this.
Okay, Jesus. His greatest role was that of.
Separation.
Is it not written in your law? I said you are gods. He told us of our true estate. We are reflections of God Almighty.
Now, how many times have we, hold on, how many times have we been nervous about thinking of ourselves as God? Jesus said we are gods. I don't know, but for me, I'm using I language. I have felt nervous about using the language as Jesus told us to use. I mean, it is written in the law. He said you are gods. He told us of our true estate. We are reflections of God Almighty. I have not always been in the place and space of that realization. What about you?
I am right there with you.
Yes.
I was always uncomfortable saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this, Maddie or Debbie. Do you feel do you see God in other people?
Yes, and I see God in me, but I can't go to the next level and say I am God, I guess.
Oh, okay.
That one is a little bit.
Well, but if you see God in you, you really need to say, I am God.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
This.
I'm sorry. I'm going to try to mute. I may have to.
I think you can. I think you can on the participant list.
I can't if I can find my arrow.
Maybe.
I can't.
Why don't we just tell everyone to mute themselves unless they want to say something?
Yes, I did, but I think the person that in the kitchen can't hear us.
Oh.
Okay, well, now it's a little bit quieter. Let's move on. Now, Mary, you were saying something. I apologize for the interruption.
I think I said, I'm not sure if there was any more.
Okay.
Just, you know.
She was just saying, if we can see God
In ourselves.
in me, then I can say I am God.
Yeah. Yeah. Reverend Gio. I can't see
Yes.
you still. Oh, there you are. Would
I'm
you
here.
like to chime in about this?
Well, it's very much the reason why in unity we say, I behold the Christ in you. It's more important that we discover the Christ within ourselves, but oftentimes we see it in other people more quickly and more easily than we note it or notice it in ourselves.
Yeah.
We can
True.
see it more easily in other people. And when it's
So-
revealed, it is so apparent that it's real and it's true.
We also spoke earlier about God as creative principle, and every single one of us have a creative capacity, a creative ability in us.
Yes.
So that is the God ling that is living in your life. It's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, can I speak?
Please.
I find it easy to say or to believe that the Christ consciousness is within me. But by the same token, I don't feel comfortable saying I am God. Because
Right.
even, I don't know, I guess they're the same thing, but they don't feel like the same thing.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
I always look at it like it's like a part of God is in you, and like you're a part of God in the non-physical. He still has a part of you, but he's also. Does that make sense? Yeah. I feel like I have a part of God in me. That doesn't bother me at all. But I have a mean streak, so I love to go to church and say, "You're God just as much as Jesus was."
Well, you know, I love that. I love that transparency. You think about the ocean. The wave has as much ocean as the whole ocean body, you know. So we are like the wave of God.
Part of the ocean, part of God. Yes.
Yes, we are like the wave of God.
I never say I am God, but like I have a part of God in me. I have Christ in me, and God has a part of me in the non-physical. That's the way I think of it. I don't know whether I'm right or not, but
You are. You're in God, and God is in you.
thank you.
Okay, can someone read this, please?
I will.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Claire.
Yeah, up until now, we have worshiped and adored Jesus Christ, even though there is biblical evidence that he was not at all comfortable with this response to his teachings.
Not at all comfortable. Jesus was always pointing to God. He never took credit for the healings. He never took credit
Yes,
for
that's true.
the dead. He was always pointing to God and showing us the way.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, someone now read this. Claire, go ahead and read that.
Yeah, why not do what he asked us to do? Follow him. Follow his
him,
teachings.
Follow his
Yeah.
teachings, yes. That's simple. Yet it's so challenging for us.
Why not do what he asked us
It can be, it doesn't have to be. But just follow his teachings, his pointings. He's pointing always to Christ in us, in each and every one of us. Okay, read this, someone, anyone?
I will.
Thank you, Mary.
A mystic is a person who believes that he or she has direct access to God. In that respect, Jesus Christ was a total mystic. But he wanted all of us to understand that we too are mystics. He wanted us to know that if we follow his teachings, we will also work the works of God.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about Jesus as a mystic?
I haven't. I do
Anyone?
not know what a mystic
Yes,
is.
I have.
Have you, Madeline?
Yes,
I have.
Who said I have? Who else?
Debbie.
Debbie, you viewed Jesus as a mystic?
I do, because I think, and I'm not, maybe I don't know that I'm sure what that means, but I see the Eastern teachings, you know, from Jesus also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
You
too.
know, I don't know, what does it mean?
Yeah. Having direct access to God.
See, I never think of mystic as being that. I mean, I know Jesus had direct access to God, just like we all do, but I never consider it to be mystic.
But a mystic, then there are mystics here, and a mystic is one who maybe can see through to the other dimensions. They can see the beings that are with us. They can connect directly, consciously with the inspiration and the guidance that we all strive for, and we all do it in a certain way. But a mystic, it's more tangible.
Contemplation.
It's more tangible.
Yes. Thank you for that, Maddie. Beautiful.
Did
And
you all
here's
see Gio's definition of mystic in the chat?
Yeah.
A person
no,
who
I didn't.
Thank you.
It's a person who seeks by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with or absorption into the deity or the absolute, or who believes in the spiritual apprehension of truths that are beyond the intellect. So it's just somebody trying to connect.
There you go, Barb.
I love that.
Well, actually, the mystic does connect. We try, they do.
Right.
Who put that in the chat?
Reverend Gio.
Oh,
What's
thank
the
you.
definition of mystic?
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Okay, someone read that, please.
The idea of love was uppermost in Jesus' teachings. His example shows us that his love was so great that it embraced even his enemies. He instructed us to love our enemies and to pray for those who persecute us. Oh, and that's, I think, the greatest of his teachings.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all about love.
All about, there's a song about that, Barbara. It's all about love.
I'm sure there is.
The idea of love was uppermost in Jesus's teachings. Yes. Yeah, it absolutely was. And you would have to be that in order to embrace your enemies. How easy is it for you guys to embrace your enemies? Do you have any enemies? Nah.
It can be challenging at times.
Yeah.
People make themselves enemies, but yeah. Mary, you're about to say something.
Well, sometimes, you know, I'm not a fan of loving enemies. I don't really have enemies, but, you know, in the past, there have been some situations that were not good, and I don't love those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
But I did
love
used
that.
to pray for them.
Chris.
When I prayed for someone that was bothering me, like when I used to work, I had at one time I had a supervisor that we just didn't gel. So I just started praying for him and lifting him up in prayer, and we got along better. It was really crazy.
It's amazing how that.
Yes, it is amazing.
Was that when you worked at DSW, Barb?
Oh, no. No, it wasn't Kenny. It wasn't Kenny. That was at the VA.
Claire, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I was scratching my back. Sorry.
What is the alternative? The alternative is to follow in his steps and to do so with an open mind and a sincere heart.
What's that an alternative to? Did it say anything before that was different?
Well, it's whatever we were believing that was not in alignment with.
Okay.
Come on up,
Yes.
baby.
Yeah.
It's an alternative. In the book, Maddie, the chapter starts out, traditionally, Jesus has been seen chiefly as a figure to be worshiped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you got it. Thank you.
Yes. And we go into that. Oh, that was it.
Oh, that's so much better.
You find your arrow?
I can read it now.
That's so much better. Can you go back to that?
You lost it.
I got my arrow. Now, I have something I want you to see. It's a 7-minute little short video. Hold on. This video, I'll just set it up for you as I'm working to find it. This video is about Bishop Carlton Pearson. Carlton Pearson visited our church. So what year was that? Do you recall, Mary?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
18, I believe. Yeah, I believe it was
Okay.
20.
He visited our church about 2 years ago, and Megan Kelly interviewed him, and he talks about what happened when he opened his mind and heart to a bigger God. So hold on and I'll get this set up for you. Since I got my arrow, I don't know whether to, okay, hold on.
Oh, girl. Come on up, girl.
Is that your kitty?
Yeah. I haven't been sitting on the floor with her and she's upset.
Oh,
That's what I'm supposed to do when I come home.
okay, hold on, guys.
See this one behind you?
She's trying.
Okay, now let's see. Here it is. Yes, very an interview.
Thanks for sharing.
Can y'all hear that?
Savage moments and your adorable pets. Now it's our turn to share.
Can you guys hear this?
can hear it.
Policies
Huh?
lasting your full
Yes.
policy term.
Hear it.
So,
But
thanks
we
again.
can't see it.
You can hear it, but
America
oh
is
wait,
still
wait, hold on.
And was a spiritual advisor to President.
And hold on. Okay, now see it. And if I can get rid of this YouTube thing. All right, I got rid of that.
America is
All right, let me pause it and then I'll share this.
This morning we are joined by.
One moment. Share screen. Oh, that's not what I want to share. I want to share this. Hold on. Oh, here it goes. Right here.
There we go.
Yeah, let me not mess this up. Let me grab it. Oh, and grab it there. Let me see if I grab it here. Nope. Hold on. Here
We
it
can see it good.
Here it goes, right here. All right.
Easter and Passover holidays, we're taking a leap of faith together. Speaking with some influential and innovative religious leaders and pioneers about God, faith, heaven and hell. This morning, we are joined by Bishop Carlton Pearson, a man who brought innumerable people together with his charismatic message. But then a voice one night from the man upstairs led him down a controversial path that cost him practically everything.
There is life, there is spontaneity, there is joy.
Bishop Pearson is an energetic,
Dancing around, trying to fit, trying to find your place.
passionate,
I was so overcome with love.
and captivating spiritual leader,
And leave you up there for a while.
drawing his congregation in with flowing sermons and perfect pitch.
On me.
You could say Pearson was born to be a preacher.
As a child, our whole life revolved around the church. I started preaching when I was 14. I was licensed at 18.
He attended Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Oral Roberts himself took Pearson under his wing.
Out of all the probably 25,000 students that had gone through there by the time he retired, no one had the kind of access to him as I did. He really, literally treated me like his son. You don't know like
Fresh out of school, Bishop Pearson's popularity and message grew beyond anyone's expectations, including his own.
I was the first African-American preacher on the South Side to start a church that was integrated and maintained it to where it became what they would call a mega church in this town, up to about 4,000 or 5,000.
Bishop Pearson preached to millions all over the country. In 1995, he spoke alongside Reverend Billy Graham at the Oklahoma City Bombing Memorial.
The best for Oklahoma and America is still to come.
And was a spiritual advisor to President George H.W. Bush. But everything changed when Pearson had what he called a revelation from God.
I believe people go through hell, not ultimately to hell. Stop telling people they're going to hell. I said, I don't care if they're sitting there with a needle in their arm, drunk, smoking a joint, HIV positive. Tell them their sins are forgiven. There's no issue between them and God that hasn't been resolved. That's all I said. If he didn't condemn, why do we?
His new message did not go over well with his congregation or with high-ranking church officials. Before he knew it, he had lost everything and was branded a heretic.
Preaching, denouncing. I went from hero to zero and lost it all.
Is there anybody you've loved in your own life who backslid and is in hell right now?
My daddy's in hell. What about it?
And did you love him?
Of course I did. He was my daddy. But he beat my mama. He beat me. He was a fornicator.
Now God's punishing him. Suffering in hell. He's tortured and tormented for all eternity. So let me ask you something. Would you get him out of hell?
That was from the new Netflix film, Come Sunday, about Bishop Pearson Carlton. Back in the 90s, the bishop was a successful Pentecostal minister of a megachurch in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He held popular revivals across the country, counseled presidents, and on and on. But he lost it all when he says he received a direct message from God that went against the teachings of the Pentecostal church. Bishop, great to have you here.
Thank you, Megan.
And that message was that there is no hell, that people who aren't, quote, saved are not going to hell, that in fact we have a loving and forgiving God.
First, I thought I believed in hell. I just didn't believe anybody would be in it because of the finished work of the cross. Then I started thinking about the absurdity and the vulgarity of eternal torture. If it was purgative or corrective or remedial, I could understand some kind of hell. But when it's punishment and little children, if you're 12 and over, till you're 90 years old, would all go and be tormented. I couldn't reconcile that with the moral character of a God of love.
So you come out and you say that to your congregation, 6,000 people, and it did not go over well. And it did not go over well with the church leaders beside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And within a year, you had lost your church.
Yeah, everything. The property, my intellectual rights, the name. I had to sign off from the founder of the organization that I had founded, and it was just pretty torturous.
And lost your home?
Lost my home.
You lost your fortune?
My inheritance. I didn't have any inheritance, but what I had saved, all my savings, 401k.
Because that goes directly against Pentecostal teachings.
Fundamentalist and Pentecostal teaching, the evangelical teachings, it goes against the Bible. The Bible can be very controversial because one day it says you love God and the mercy of God endures forever. How can mercy endure forever and hell endure forever? One would cancel out the other.
And now you've gotten to that is more I say progressive, inclusive, it's loving. In the movie, it walks us through how you had this very close friend who was gay, and initially you were advising him, it's okay to be gay, do gay.
Yeah.
And now you've evolved on all of that, yes?
Yes.
And believe now.
That everybody, and just like the makeup artist just said here, not trying to correct anybody, just enhance everybody, who you already are. Bring out the best in you, celebrate, own, honor, respect, love yourself, and be yourself. We spend our lives impersonating who we think people want us to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we become a world of imposters and impersonators. But when I stopped putting on that air, trying to please the people, and I love people, I had to face the guy that I had never met.
And now you don't have all this money and you don't have the big 6,000 person church. You're preaching what you believe is God's kind and loving and forgiving message. And was it worth it? I mean, if you could go back now and do it over again, would you?
Well, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. And nobody. The movie amplifies the message I thought the church wanted to mute. It's like Jason Segel, one of the actors, said to me, Bishop, what are you feeling, vindication or revenge? I said, no revenge. I do feel vindication. I feel indication, an indication that maybe the universe, God, has a more important posture for this message, that it really should reach masses. Netflix has 117 million homes.
That's more than 6,000.
Oh, my God.
We have a few million too.
And I heard millions are getting this today.
Thank you so much for your courage and your love. I highly recommend the movie, which is riveting and sad when you see the price he paid for his loving and kind beliefs and the non-acceptance within the community. But thank you for sharing it here.
Pleasure, Megan. I'm
All
so
the best,
proud
Bishop.
of you, too.
Thank you, Val.
You're amazing.
All right, don't forget, on Sunday, it begins streaming on Netflix on April 13th.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos.
All right. So, what did you think of that? His experience, his willingness to share it with the world. What did you think?
It took a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you can believe things that aren't popular, but usually you keep them to yourself.
Right, right. Especially if it's going to cost you everything.
Yeah. So he had a lot of courage to stand in public and pronounce his beliefs.
Yes.
For me, the most important message of Bishop Carlton Pearson is the necessity that he felt to be authentic, to truly be present to his heart, rather than just following the rules or listening to what a bunch of other people told him to do in order to be acceptable to them. He was compelled to be acceptable to himself.
Yes.
Which is what Jesus taught.
Yes.
Jesus was all about just be loving to yourself and then be loving to others. So I really love what this man has done in regard to opening a lot of people's eyes and waking a lot of us up.
Yes, we could follow, we could follow his lead in terms of being authentic in that way. Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in?
Can I say something?
Please do.
This is Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy.
No, I think that was the perfect example of moving yourself out of the way and allowing God to move through you and to show that's a perfect example right there.
Got it. Yeah.
Absolutely, Darcy. Moving yourself out of the way. Watch God move in and through you. As he did that. He does it for us all. Did you hear me use he?
Yep.
Not so easy not to. Okay, now it's time for us to do a little bit of journaling. I want you to, before we do that, I want you to stand in between on that imaginary line 1 through 10, where you are in terms of your belief about God being all that we just read about him or it, all about. Where are you in believing that you are the essence of God? Just like Jesus said, where are you on the spectrum of I am the essence of God? Could you go and stand on that imaginary line? Okay, so if the front entrance to your room is, let's see, what is that gonna be? That's gonna be 1. And then back to the wall is gonna be 10. So wherever you stand in that belief, I'm not standing near the door, then you're going to tell about that and more. So, all right. Did everybody move?
Nope.
I won't be able to talk if I move.
Can y'all get up?
No, I'm not getting up.
Can't we just pick a number?
I'm way over by the door, the far door. That's where I am.
All right, now you got to number, Mary.
Mary's using the power of imagination.
I
There
am.
you go. I like
All
that.
right. All right, now I'm going to put on some beautiful soft music, and I want you to journal for a few minutes. I'll tell you when to stop. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, let's journal about God, about Jesus, about your experience in this class. What do you think about your experience up to this point? Your beliefs. Is that too loud?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, what I would like for you to do, everybody knows how to write in the chat box, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I would like for you to write what your belief about God is in the chat box, each of you. And I want us to read someone else's other than what we wrote, okay? I think that sets up a safe space for you're not reading your own. So what you believe about God, just a sentence or words in the chat box. And the second person in the chat box will read the first person's. The third person in the chat box will read the second person's. The first person in the chat box will read the last person's.
You just want like a line about what we believe God is?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yes, please. Okay, we have 2. Three.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I can hear you guys, but nothing's on my screen except it just says Zoom. So I tried to chat, however.
Okay, at the bottom of the screen, if you'll run your cursor over the bottom of the screen, you should see a line of words and little emblems. Okay, so chat is 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th over from the left. Do you see that, Claire?
I think she's gone.
Oh, did she leave us?
Yep.
Maybe accidentally, but I think she's gone.
Okay. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 7 people. Okay.
How do I include my chat?
You haven't finished yours, Darcy?
I'm finished.
Okay, just go ahead.
And enter once I'm done typing?
They enter. Just enter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enter.
It's not working.
Did you type it in that box?
I did.
Okay.
Did you press enter?
Well, I just put God is all knowing because I can't get it into the chat.
All right, thank you. All right, so Mary, could you read Debbie's?
Sure, let me get there. Oops.
Reverend Gio, you took mine. I forgot to put mine in there.
Okay, Debbie's is God is in me and is me.
Okay. All right, and let's see, Mary. So Barbara, would you read Mary's?
Let me find, oh, there it is. As I see the divine in others, I find it easier to find the divine in myself.
Oh, beautiful. And Reverend Gio, could you read Barbara's?
God is the source of all creation and resides in all of it.
And Maddie, Reverend Gio's.
God is.
Darcy, could you read Maddie's?
I believe I am an expression of God, and my purpose is to love.
Okay, and then Debbie, would you read Darcy's?
God is all knowing.
What are you noticing about what we've just read?
We all wrote the same thing.
Yeah, right? So it's like God within is coming out to say, here I am, people. And if you really think about it, I said this once in Sunday school and everybody paused, but it's like there's not really a dialogue, but a monologue going on here. Y'all follow me?
Yes.
It's like God talking to itself. And it makes sense that everything sounds very similar. So, at this point, I would like to ask, does anyone have any questions about what we've gone over tonight with regards to God or Jesus? If you do, address it to Reverend Gio. That's what happens when you show up in a class with me.
Oh my!
Any questions or comments even? Well, if there are no questions or comments, now is the time for someone. Well, I'm going to assign homework. I hope you all show up next Tuesday. The homework is simply for all students to journal, to recount their experience at the end of each class. So tonight, no homework because you've done it already.
You already did.
So, yes. So,
I like classes that let you do your homework during the class.
Right? All right, so now we'd like to have a closing prayer. Who would like to pray us out? Oh, wait a minute. Let's do our offering first. Okay, for our offering, there are a few ways to give, such as via text, call, or USPS. Please take a moment to write down these numbers. You all have pen in hand. So to text the offering, text to 817-606-8768. That's an easy way. I'm going to give that a try today. And then if you want to call our church to set up a one-time donation, you can do that and just use a credit card. Our church's number is 817-488-1008. And then you can also mail a check. Mail that check to Post Office Box 6, first of all, to Center of Unity, Post Office Box 667, Grapevine, Texas 76099. Any amount is sufficient, okay? Please join me in our offertory thanksgiving. Repeat after me. The infinite law of abundance flows through me.
Infinite law of abundance flows through me.
I am a channel of love and blessings,
I am a channel of love and blessings,
through which all good things are expressed.
Through which all good things are expressed.
Thank you, Father, Mother, God.
Thank you, Father God.
Thank you all so much for coming. I am so very grateful for your taking the time out to come and join me in this Ponder This class. Same time, same station next Tuesday. Come join me for some more fun. Next week, we're going to talk about, by the way, let me give you my email again so I can send you the syllabus. Gretchel Johnson, GretchelJohnson @AOL.com. I want to send each of you the syllabus. So next week, we're going to discuss humankind, prayer, and worship. Let's see what Fischer has to say about all of that. Thank you. Love you guys.
Hey, Gigi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gigi, I think you did a great job in view of all the technological challenges.
Oh,
Primo.
Mary. Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
Good
Love
night.
you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye for now.
Bye.